You know, I feel like when most of us picture someone practicing magic, your mind probably goes right to those Hollywood tropes,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. It's always the same imagery.
Exactly. You imagine the billowing robes, the dramatic chanting in some dark, smoke-filled room,
Uh,
maybe sparks shooting out of a wooden wand,
right, right.
and it just has this general sense of chaotic, supernatural, rule-breaking. Like it's portrayed as something wildly theatrical and, I mean, just inherently unpredictable.
Totally. It's framed as cheating the system, basically.
Exactly. But what if real occultism, or at least according to the historical foundational texts of high magic, what if it actually views all that theatrical chaos as a sign of complete and utter failure?
Which is such a wild concept to wrap your head around.
It really is. What if
Mm.
true magic is less like a fantasy novel and more like a rigid mathematical science of the mind?
Well, it requires a massive paradigm shift to even approach this material. Because, we are so culturally conditioned to view magic as the suspension of natural laws.
Right, like bending reality to your whim.
Right. Exactly. But the text we are looking at today argues the diametric opposite. It posits that magic is actually the ultimate hyper-focused application of natural laws.
It's about understanding the system so deeply that you can navigate its currents without, being swept away.
Precisely. You aren't breaking the rules, you're mastering them.
Which brings us to the mission of our custom-tailored deep dive today, because we are taking a journey into the source material to fundamentally shift how you view occultism.
It's going to be a fascinating ride.
We really want to strip away those cinematic tropes and reveal this highly structured, surprisingly rational system of self-mastery.
Mm.
And to do that, we are drawing from a really incredible presentation by researcher Ben Hod.
Yeah, Ben Hod's work here is just fantastic.
It really is. He systematically outlined the curriculum of the Eliphas Levi School of High Magic.
And just for some context for you, this entire curriculum is built upon Levy's magnum opus, Dogme et Rituel de la Haute Magie.
Right, which was originally published back in the mid-19th century, wasn't it?
Yeah, mid-19th century. And it's arguably the cornerstone text of Western esotericism. I mean, Levy was trying to synthesize centuries of scattered mystical thought into a coherent, workable framework.
And to anchor us in this massive curriculum, we are focusing on a very specific juncture today. We are looking at Key 2, Unit 6.
Which is such a crucial turning point in the text.
It really is. Now, Key 2 is entirely focused on the concept of equilibrium. There are 8 units within this key, and this one, the 6th unit, is titled Opposites.
Of opposites.
Right,
Okay.
let's unpack this. Because what Ben Hod's research highlights is that Levy's text actively tries to recast sorcery. It takes this practice that's usually dismissed as just superstitious folly and frames it as an exact science.
A science governed by Hermetic analogy and Kabbalistic equilibrium.
Right, and those two terms are basically the bedrock of his entire system, right?
They absolutely are, and they are definitely worth demystifying right away. So, Hermetic analogy is essentially the ancient idea that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm.
The whole as above, so below thing.
Exactly. As above, so below. It means that a shift in the human mind inherently ripples out to affect the broader universe, and vice versa. They are intrinsically linked.
And then there's Kabbalistic equilibrium.
Right. Which refers to navigating the cosmic forces of mercy, which is expansive and forgiving, and severity, which is restrictive and disciplined.
So it's about finding the middle ground.
Yeah, true power in this framework lies in finding the perfectly balanced center pillar between those two extremes.
But before we can explore how to actually achieve that perfect center, we kind of have to diagnose the disease first, don't we?
We do. You have to understand the baseline problem.
Right. We have to understand why human beings are naturally so bad at finding balance.
Yeah.
And in Levy's framework, the default, perilous state of humanity is governed by something called the binary law.
The binary law. Yeah, this is the trap of the uninitiated.
And when we say uninitiated here, we just mean a normal person, right?
Yeah, in this context, an uninitiated operator is simply a normal person who has not yet mastered their own psychological and energetic currents.
They're just going through life reacting to things.
Exactly. And because they lack that mastery, they inevitably fall victim to unmediated desire. They want something, they push for it blindly, and that raw, uncalibrated force generates destructive polarization.
And the source material gives these incredibly stark, yet relatable examples of this destructive polarization in action. It's not just abstract theory.
No, it plays out in everyday human emotions.
It talks about how, under the binary law, love mutates into obsession, or ambition spirals into self-ruin.
It's this idea that an untrained will gets completely crushed by what Levy calls the reactive tides of the astral light.
The astrolite, that sounds very mystical.
What's fascinating here is that the astral light, in Levy's terminology, isn't just some glowing aura or a visual hallucination.
Right, it's not like a Hollywood special effect.
No, not at all. It is the underlying energetic medium of the universe. Think of it as a dense, fluidic atmosphere that invisibly connects thoughts, emotions, and physical reality.
Wow, okay, so it's the medium that everything travels through.
Exactly. And because it is a fluid medium, it operates strictly on polarity. There's positive and negative, active and passive, push and pull.
Okay, so if I am trying to visualize this, operating under the binary law feels a lot like driving a high-performance car with a brick slammed down the accelerator.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
But you have absolutely no steering wheel. It's just pure, terrifying momentum.
That captures the mechanics of it perfectly. You have the desire to move forward, and you're generating tremendous energy. I mean, the engine is absolutely roaring.
But you can't steer.
Right, because there is no mediation, no directional control or braking mechanism. That raw force simply cannot sustain itself.
You inevitably crash. I mean, there's no other outcome. You either burn out the engine from the internal friction or you wrap the car around a tree.
Yep, you crash. Hard.
If you just throw your raw desires into that energetic ocean of the astral light without any discipline, the universe acts almost like a cosmic immune system.
That's a great analogy. It pushes back.
Yeah, you push too hard in one direction without understanding the counterforce, and the universe produces antibodies to push back with equal severity.
And you see this in human relationships all the time, which is why Levy's framework is so grounded in psychology.
For sure, relationships are the perfect testing ground for this.
Think about it. You want someone to love you so badly that you pour all your unmediated, frantic, active energy into the pursuit. You project so much needy force that you inadvertently force the other person into a repellent negative polarity.
Just to maintain the energetic balance of the dynamic, they pull away because you're pushing too hard.
Exactly. You end up smothering them, alienating them, and turning your own genuine affection into a destructive obsession. The polarity flips on you, and you become a victim of your own desire.
Man, that reframes the entire concept of magical power. It isn't about theatrical contrivances or summoning external spirits to bend the world to your whim.
No, not at all. That's the Hollywood trap.
It is entirely about aligning your human intent with that universal polarity so you stop causing these massive destructive recoils.
Which brings us to the core solution of the curriculum. Because if raw dualism and unmediated friction paralyze the operator,
and if bouncing violently between these two extremes leads to chaotic recoil,
then the Hermetic system resolves this by introducing a mediating agent. They introduce what the text calls the ternary fulcrum.
the ternary fulcrum, okay, moving from the trap of 2 into the stability of 3.
Exactly, the magic number 3.
And the sources note this can be expressed in several different ways, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the specific working.
It might be a literal third participant in a ceremony to break the tension between two conflicting parties.
Like a mediator in a dispute.
Right. Or it might be represented by an unpolarized virgin, acting as a completely neutral vessel that isn't carrying the charge of either extreme.
Or, and this is perhaps the deepest psychological layer to me, it can be an internal state of what the curriculum calls hermaphroditic synthesis.
Yeah, and that phrase, hermaphroditic synthesis, can sound incredibly arcane and easily misunderstood today.
It sounds a bit provocative, honestly.
It does, but in the context of 19th century esoteric philosophy, it has absolutely nothing to do with physical biology.
Right, it's purely symbolic.
It is a metaphor for the psychological and spiritual integration of the masculine and feminine archetypes, the active and the passive, the projective and the receptive forces.
And holding them simultaneously within a single human mind.
Yes, holding both without being consumed by either.
It's the ability to hold both potentials at once without identifying purely with either one. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the geometry of this is so clear.
The geometry is beautiful, honestly.
Think of a seesaw. If you are sitting on one end of that plank, you are completely subjected to the whims of gravity and the person on the other side, right?
You're totally at their mercy.
Yeah. If they jump off, you plummet. If they push up violently, you are flung into the air. That is the binary law in action. You are reacting to forces outside your control.
But by walking to the very center of that board and standing precisely on the fulcrum, the entire power dynamic shifts.
You take control.
Exactly. You are no longer being thrown up or down. With just the slightest calibrated shift of your own weight, You dictate the balance of the entire mechanism.
Because you're the one in the middle.
You have introduced the ternary, the third point, which is yourself as the conscious, unmoving mediator.
That makes so much sense.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the very definition of esoteric mastery in Levy's worldview. By standing at this neutral pivot, the practitioner transcends being a passive subject to light and dark.
They stop being a victim to the binary trap.
They literally transform the destructive, reactive oscillations of the astral fluid into a highly focused instrument. The energetic tide goes from being a force that grounds them to a tool of spiritual sovereignty.
But, conceptualizing this perfect Zen-like balance is one thing. Actually maintaining it when your ambitions are flaring up or when you are deeply afraid, that is an entirely different challenge.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly difficult in practice.
Human beings just aren't naturally built to sit perfectly still in the center of their own turbulent desires.
No, we really aren't. And Levy knew that, which is why the curriculum doesn't just stop at the philosophy of equilibrium.
Right, it's not just theory.
That is precisely the function of Unit 6 within Key 2. It serves as the vital structural bridge between the lofty theoretical doctrine of the fulcrum and the actual practical operation of the magus.
It provides the literal blueprint for how an erratic human mind can construct that state of balance.
Yes, it tells you exactly how to do it.
And it does so through the architecture of ritual. The text details a very specific elaborate apparatus for this unit. We are talking about dual altars set up in the space.
Dual altars, yeah.
Opposing victims, which historically referred to animal sacrifice, though modern esoteric interpretations rely on symbolic, contrasting offerings, thankfully.
Yes, much more symbolic these days.
And there is a heavy emphasis on asymmetric implements, meaning the tools held in one hand are intentionally vastly different from the tools held in the other.
That asymmetry is key.
And finally, the requirement of odd-numbered participants.
The mathematics of the participants is a subtle but vital component here. An even number of people in a heightened energetic space naturally defaults back to the binary law.
Because they pair off.
Exactly. 2, 4, or 6 people will eventually pair off, oppose each other, or create an echo chamber. An odd number 3, 5, 7 disrupts that symmetry.
It always leaves a center point.
It always leaves a natural mediator or tiebreaker that prevents the energy from locking into a polarized stalemate.
And the curriculum is adamant that these elements, the dual altars, the contrasting offerings, the numbers, they're not just spooky aesthetics meant to set a mysterious mood.
No, they serve a very specific mechanical purpose.
They are explicitly described as mnemonic and energetic architecture. They are designed to physically and perfectly model cosmic equilibrium right there in the room.
And this forces us to totally reevaluate what a ritual actually is. I mean, we commonly think of rituals in a religious context,
Right, like a sequence of gestures meant to beg a deity for a favor.
or appease some higher power. But researcher Ben Hoyd highlights a profoundly different definition from Levy's framework. The text defines ritual as the explicit grammar of the subconscious.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second.
Yeah,
Because explicit grammar of the subconscious is a beautiful poetic phrase, but I want to get to the actual mechanics of it. So what does this all mean for the physical space?
Okay, I see what you're asking.
Because I find it hard to believe that simply placing unmatched candlesticks on 2 different wooden tables magically cures someone's deeply ingrained psychological imbalances.
Right, it sounds a bit too easy when you put it like that.
Yeah, like how does rearranging esoteric furniture actually rewrite someone's subconscious mind to the point that it affects this so-called astral light?
Well, that is the crucial friction point of this entire philosophy. You have to look at how the physical implements force a biological and psychological response.
A biological response. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Let's take the asymmetric implements you mentioned earlier. Imagine standing in a high-stakes ritual space. In your right hand, representing severity and active force, you are required to hold a heavy, unwieldy iron sword.
Okay, so it's physically taxing.
Very. And in your left hand, representing mercy and passive receptivity, you are holding a delicate, fragile silver chalice filled to the brim with water.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see where you were going with this.
The sheer physical strain of holding those 2 contrasting objects simultaneously requires constant, conscious neurological adjustment.
Because if you focus too much on the heavy sword, you'll spill the water.
Exactly. If you lose focus and drift into obsessive, binary thoughts, your grip falters. You either drop the heavy sword or you crush the delicate chalice and spill the water.
The asymmetric tools literally force your brain into a state of hyperpresence.
You are physically barred from spacing out. The architecture of the ritual literally constructs a fulcrum out of your own nervous system.
That is wild. That completely changes the context of the tools for me. They are physical weights forcing the mind into equilibrium.
And that ties directly back to the concept of ritual as grammar. Think about how syntax works in spoken language.
Grammar provides the structure.
Exactly. Grammar provides the structural rules that allow random, chaotic words to form a coherent, powerful sentence that can actually change someone's mind. Without grammar, language is just a chaotic mess of syllables. It's a primal scream.
So raw human desire without ritual is just an energetic primal scream.
Yes.
It's the brick on the accelerator from earlier.
Yes, exactly. Ritual provides the nouns, the verbs, and the sentence structure for the subconscious. It takes latent, messy intention and subjects it to strict correspondence and unwavering conviction.
And because the mind and the astral light are interconnected through hermetic analogies.
Right. As above, so below.
When you use the explicit grammar of ritual to write a state of perfect, unwavering balance into your own subconscious, you are simultaneously writing that balance into the energetic fabric of the world around you.
You nailed it. By physically placing those two altars in opposition and then deliberately choosing to stand in the empty space between them, you are physically enacting the psychological state you need to achieve.
You are manually building the seesaw so your brain knows exactly where the fulcrum is.
And you are establishing yourself as the organizing principle of the room. It takes the abstract, often infuriatingly vague concept of finding your center and makes it undeniably physically concrete.
It grounds it in physical reality.
And by correctly applying this explicit grammar, the practitioner reaches the culmination of Unit 6.
Which the text identifies as the achievement of spiritual autonomy.
Spiritual autonomy, yes.
Yes.
Magical operations, when filtered through this rigorous curriculum, are revealed to be the absolute opposite of chaotic acts of egoic desire.
Because if a practitioner is attempting a working gestation simply because they want a bigger house, or, because they're consumed by jealousy and want to curse a rival, they've already failed.
Oh, completely failed. They are back in the trap of the binary law, operating as a slave to their own reactive, unmediated emotions.
They are pressing the gas pedal with no steering wheel again, just hoping the universe magically moves out of their way.
And we know the universe doesn't work like that. True magic is framed as the precise application of natural and psychological laws across three interconnected realms.
The material, the astral, and the divine.
Exactly. The material realm of physical action, the astral realm of energetic and emotional currents, and the divine or archetypal realm of pure will.
It is the ultimate test of navigating that dynamic balance between mercy and severity. Because if you lean too far into mercy, you dissolve into chaos, lacking the boundaries to manifest anything real.
You just become formless.
Right. But if you lean too far into severity, you become a rigid tyrant and eventually shatter under your own pressure. You have to master the law of analogies to stay anchored in the center pillar.
And by mastering that dynamic balance, the operator undergoes a fundamental transformation. They cease to be a passive thrall to unseen currents.
They're no longer a leaf blown around by the reactive whims of the astral light.
They achieve true spiritual autonomy. They become the deliberate author of their own energetic reality rather than a victim of circumstance.
I think this is where this dense 19th century esoteric text connects so directly and urgently to everyday life. Because honestly, whether or not you believe in the literal existence of high magic or the astral light, what Levy is describing is fundamentally a profound psychological blueprint for self-control.
It really is. It's intensely practical.
Well, it's a manual for how to stop being jerked around by your own emotional extremes.
The mechanics of the ternary fulcrum are entirely applicable to modern behavioral psychology.
I mean, just think about ambition in the workplace, right? If you are obsessing over a promotion to the point where it is ruining your sleep, alienating your colleagues, and dictating your entire sense of self-worth.
Well, that is the binary law at work.
Exactly. You are a thrall to your own unbalanced desire. Finding the ternary fulcrum in that scenario might mean taking a step back and creating a mental or even physical ritual to compartmentalize that ambition.
Just to give yourself some structure.
Yeah, it means finding a central, balanced identity that isn't completely dependent on the binary outcome of either getting the job or failing completely. It is a practical method to achieve spiritual autonomy right here, right now in the mundane world.
And the genius of Levy placing Unit 6 exactly where he did in the curriculum is the acknowledgement that simply knowing you need balance is never enough.
Because the human mind is just too slippery. We forget.
We do. You have to build an architecture to enforce it. You need an explicit grammar to structure your unruly subconscious before it structures you.
So as we pull back from our journey through this specific corner of the curriculum today, the through line is clear.
It's a powerful progression.
It is. We started by diagnosing the self-destructive trap of the binary law, where raw, unmediated desire inevitably generates polarization and ruin.
Then we explored the Hermetic solution, which is the balancing power of the ternary fulcrum, the discipline of standing at the neutral pivot point.
And finally, we saw how the architecture of ritual isn't about spooky aesthetics at all. It serves as the literal grammar of the subconscious, using physical asymmetry and mnemonic focus to force the human mind into a state of powerful, unwavering equilibrium.
It really challenges us to look at the friction in our own lives through a completely different lens.
It does. Even if you never have the desire to set up dual altars, Levy's framework challenges you to view your own obsessions, your ingrained fears, and your relentless ambitions not just as personal character flaws, but as energetic imbalances.
They are binary traps that are draining your sovereignty.
But they can be mastered if you learn how to step into the center. Which leaves us with a lingering question for you to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
This is the important part to take away.
If traditional esoteric ritual is simply the explicit grammar of the subconscious, used to convert intention into reality, what modern, everyday rituals are you blindly participating in right now?
That's a great question.
Think about the specific way you check your phone first thing in the morning, the repetitive, predictable arguments you have with your partner, or the algorithms you allow to dictate your media consumption. What grammar are you feeding your brain every single day?
What are you writing into your subconscious?
Exactly. And what reality are those unquestioned, invisible rituals subconsciously writing for you, entirely without your permission?